Welcome to Monthly Review, the monthly feature in which I talk about the best CDs released in the previous month. This time around, let's talk about the releases that dropped in July 2023 and see what was there to impress us. And believe me, there were a lot of CDs in there impressing us all, particularly a specific male seiyuu artist. But let's talk about this in depth. Best of July 2023. This time around, let's talk about the best CDs that were, of course, released in July 2023. This episode arrives a little bit late because I had to wait a little bit to review some CDs, and still there was one specific CD that was not available to me, so I won't be talking about it. It's about, of course, Lolo D's Nothing. The CD is not available yet on Ototoy, which is a platform from which I purchased the digital version, so I won't be talking about that CD specifically, but the others I'm going to talk about. First off, we have XlamV's Climb. This was long awaited. This was a release that everyone was really hyped up for, especially if you were following the digital single releases that were leading up to this specific EP release. XlamV have been impressing us all, I believe us all, because they are not the conventional 2D pop idol. They are doing something completely different. They started with a massive group of 14 people, then they niched down to a 7-people group that was voted by us, the fans, and they started their activities actually as XlamV early on this year. And then they went on for 3 digital singles leading up to this EP release. So they built up their hype perfectly. This was a perfect marketing strategy on my end, as I am a marketing specialist, and this is something that pleases me because it was really well executed. So XlamV, on the technical side, the marketing side, they were astounding, and props to Nizista for doing this in such an awesome way. But on the other hand, XlamV were impressing everyone on the vocal end, and even when it comes to the music itself. So, if you don't know, XlamV is a 7-member group, and they have a unique lineup that has led to the group to deliver really outstanding performances so far. It is quite impressive how they have little time working together, and the group is already sounding so cohesive right from the very start, when they were called Versus Ambivalence, and now as they are called XlamV. Right now we have Climb, which is a stylish, really stylish and elegant EP. I'm a big fan of new disco music, and I'm a big fan of chill out music. At the same time, I do love the funky stylings of the 80s and 90s, I should say the late 70s and early 80s music, and their music has all of these in the same place. At the same time, they have really outstanding vocals, so in a way, everything for me, at least all the boxes are checked. They have nice vocals, they have nice music, they have a chill sound, and they are doing something that no other group is doing. From their concept to their music, there is no other group, at least right now, doing the same thing that they are doing, which is awesome and makes the group stand out even more for me, but at the same time it's something that may make this group sound a bit niche for you. I do not know about your tastes, of course, but I will be speaking for mine, and in this case, XlamV is actually the style of pop group that I love. It is a group that has a mature take on their music. They are not being happy-go-lucky just for the sake of having happy-go-lucky music. and they are not doing so to be basically thrown into the same pit as all other groups that do happy-go-lucky music. So they are doing something that really stands out, which is to make sure that they have a sound that suits all their voices, because you have from the very technical singers like Tasuku Hatanaka and Makoto Furukawa in this group to the least technical singers in here like Kengo Kawanishi, Ryo Tsuchida, or even Shintaro Asanuma. Shintaro Asanuma actually is kind of a chameleon, but is not the most technical in the group. Actually, when you have Tasuku Hatanaka or Makoto Furukawa in the same group, you usually are not the most technical within that group. But that's something that causes a really unique dynamic, because you have different skills, different experiences, and even different singing styles and voice tones all in the same place, and they are working in harmony. And this is something that I value a whole lot within a group. It is harmony. I do not care if it has a star-studded cast or if it has only rookies in there. I only care if the voices fit well together with the group, with the project, and with the music. And in this case, XlamV have a lineup that mixes a little bit of everything that I just said, and better yet, the music is amazing and everything suits well together. So for me, XlamV is the group that is shining the most so far in 2023, and it is for sure the big surprise of the year. At least, I will say surprise, but right now it's no longer a surprise. If you have been following the music that has been released, or has been released in the past couple of months, you will be aware that XlamV is really the group that you should follow, especially right now that the group is still in its starting point. So it is a really good way, or a good point right now for you to jump into this fandom, the Versus Ambivalence franchise itself, and get to know XlamV before they start releasing a lot of music and then you lose the train. But XlamV is really quite amazing and I can't recommend them enough. Climb is an amazing EP, and that XlamV is a group that you should follow. Awasora is the new song in this EP, and Awasora is a really, really smooth, chill song, focused more on the vibes and on the vocals than on having a really danceable, engaging sound like other songs such as Groovy Night had. So it is a really good balance within this CD. Of course, This Is My Way is not the song that I love the most within this EP, but other than that song, all others are amazing. It is really hard to pick a specific song that I love the most, especially because it is all due to the vibes that I want to listen to right now. Of course, I'm more partial to Groovy Night because I love new disco music, and new disco music is still, believe it or not, is still quite niche even within 2D music. So it is really nice to find a song in such a vibe or with such a music genre or sub-music genre and being so stylish and so well done. So I'm partial to Groovy Night, but I do love Awasora as well. And from me was a song that impressed me right from the start because it is a daring song on the composition, and it is a song that starts on a minor key and grows into a major key within its last chorus and outro, which is a daring thing to do. You usually do not change keys midway through a song because it will sound weird, but it felt so right at that moment because it is almost like they are taking you on a journey and you are journeying with them, and when it comes to that part, you know that everything changes, that group flourishes, that group appears, the group was chosen by you, and it is a new beginning. That change of key is really the new beginning, so it is really well done from me. It is the perfect song to introduce a group without being cheesy to say the names of the characters that are within this group, so I do appreciate it a whole lot, and the way that the group has been consistently good so far, but still, it's worth mentioning that the group hasn't taken many risks so far. They have released one song, and then the EP with all those songs and one song, which is new. So they have released 4 songs separated, and they haven't made a specific big release with all new songs. So they can be a different group if they release a full-on CD or an EP with all new songs, but as it is with digital singles alone, they have impressed me a whole lot. So I do fully recommend you to check XlamV's Climb. It is one of my most listened to CDs this summer, so I do recommend you as well to give it a listen, enjoy the good vibes, and enjoy how great a group can be if all the members are chosen for their qualities and for how well they suit together, instead of choosing seiyuu just because they are popular. And then we have Tetsuya Kakihara's Waratte. I've said it before, Tetsuya Kakihara always impresses me, or has been impressing me since 2018, and it is because he has improved a lot his singing, and he has gotten to a point in which when I listen to his music I can't help to be excited, because I know that he's going to sing really well. And right now he's singing at his best. It is his peak singing skills. I said it before that I For You was an outstanding CD, and it's still my favorite CD by Kakihara, and quite possibly one of my, I should say, top 10 best CDs or favorite CDs by a male seiyuu artist. But after that he has released really awesome things, and right now I believe that Waratte was almost like a concept mini album, or at least it feels like a concept mini album, although it didn't or wasn't promoted as such. All the things that I got from this CD, listening from the very start up until the very end, this is an EP that comes full circle. It starts really grandiose with a choir and chants and everything else going on in there, and it wraps up exactly on the same note. However, what you start this EP with is a song that is uplifting, is completely made to give you a different perspective in life, to make you feel happy. And when you wrap up this CD, it's almost like a goodbye. It's still uplifting, but still with a nostalgic note underneath. It's not as uplifting as the very opening of this EP, of this mini album or EP. Midway through, we have a couple of songs that stood out to me for how amazing they are. We have Best Wishes. This is easily, for me, the catchiest song in this CD. It is crazy how fancy that dance sound is, but at the same time it is also really awesome to see Kakihara in a way returning to his roots as a solo artist. He started performing dance music, and right now he is doing a little bit of experimentation towards that field again, although he has kept that core of pop rock music going on. And that is the type of music that has made the previous releases stand out so much to me. Of course, what stands out the most, more so than the music, is the singing. And Tetsuya Kakihara has a really unique voice. I've said it countless times before. He has a really unique voice tone and even technique. And he has a really breathy singing style, which enables him to power through those falsetto parts with a massive ease, which can be quite difficult for other seiyuu to mimic, for example. In this case, Best Wishes is really amazing, and it has a really awesome intro. The first 30 seconds to itself are really made to impress you. From the really danceable vibes, they are minimalistic in a way, so you won't be getting a full-blown dance floor anthem in here, but you will get something with a really good pacing, with a really good beat, and having quite some influences of progressive EDM in there, or progressive techno. It's really fun, but it also goes back in time and goes to the 80s and 90s to grab some inspirations here and there, or some elements here and there to take in as an inspiration to create this song. On the vocal end, Kakihara, right off the bat, it goes for those high notes in falsetto, so within the first 30 seconds you will be impressed. The rest is history, so do check this CD, of course, and pay special attention to Best Wishes. I'm going to check here the names of the songs because there are two other songs that I do enjoy a whole lot, and I forgot the names, so I need to check those again. The ending to this CD is quite strong. Starting from Best Wishes, you have Summertime Love, which is another funky song, and then you wrap up this EP or mini album with Michi, and Michi is outstanding. It has the perfect build up as a rock ballad. If you haven't checked this CD, really do check it, because Kakihara made sure that really what you get from here are really good vibes. It's really positive messages, uplifting messages, and the CD is all made around making you smile, continue smiling. So this is a CD that is really well made, although not categorized as a concept CD. I will categorize it as a concept CD because it is really cohesive in the themes that it basically explores, and the major theme within this CD is to make you laugh and make you happy. So I believe that Waratte by Tetsuya Kakihara is really the CD that you should check, and as always, do expect high quality performances because Kakihara is singing at his best right now. And now, if you know me well, and I am already smirking because I'm thinking about this single, the best release of the month was undoubtedly Makoto Furukawa's Place Your Bets.
My head is better flooded for a vengeance.
I've said it before, I was really excited about this CD. I've said it before, I'm a massive fan of jazz music, and I've said it before, I love Makoto Furukawa. So this is a single that has everything I love in the same place, celebrating something really awesome, and actually breaking some records for Makoto Furukawa himself. So for starters, Place Your Bets is a single that was released to celebrate Makoto Furukawa's 5th anniversary as a solo artist. It debuted in 2018 with Miserable Masquerade, which was amazing as a debut single, and it set the tone and the high quality for further singles down the line. And it made sure that Makoto Furukawa was the only voice actor, or the only male seiyuu artist releasing jazz music exclusively, which was quite impressive at that time. It was something that no other artist was doing among male seiyuu, and he actually set the tone with something really awesome that suited his voice, that suited his whole vibe, and then in some way made him a better performer. So this is one part of it. The other part is Makoto Furukawa's Place Your Bets is the very first CD by Makoto Furukawa to reach 10,000 copies sold in Japan, and it was the very first time that Makoto Furukawa ranked so high on Oricon's charts. So it is crazy what this single has done. Of course, the single had lottery slips in there for people to apply to the live show that is going to take place in November, which may have helped with sales, but that's a really amazing milestone nonetheless, because people could still disregard that and wait for the tickets to go on sale and purchase those when they go on sale. So there were people really involved, the fans were really involved in purchasing this single, in celebrating this milestone with Makoto Furukawa, and in making sure that he got this amazing milestone. It is a record for himself, of course, it is not a record within the male seiyuu artists panorama, but it is a record for himself. The very first time he sold 10,000 copies, and he ranked within Oricon's top 10, which is quite amazing. Now, let's go to the technical part, because I love to talk about the technical parts, and Makoto Furukawa's Place Your Bets is quite amazing. Starting from its concept, it is to basically revisit the past, but having a really tasteful vengeance. Makoto Furukawa has said in an interview with Lizani that he wanted in some way to return to his roots, and to return to his roots he found that it was interesting to connect Miserable Masquerade's music video with the music video in Place Your Bets, and in some way connect all the songs that he released so far in the lyrics for Place Your Bets. So you will have notions or mentions to Sepia, you will have mentions to Miserable Masquerade, and then of course if you watch the music video, you have that cloth that was tying him in the music video of Miserable Masquerade is there on his chair in the music video for Place Your Bets. The lady in red is still the same lady in the very first music video, so this time around Makoto Furukawa was exacting revenge on that character that tied him up in the very first single, and right now he's exacted vengeance. He closed that chapter in style, and the music video is quite awesome in a way because it was really well acted. It is one of those times in which I watch a music video by a male seiyuu artist and I don't get second-hand embarrassment. It really is well acted, and it really is quite awesome, that music video. Quite simplistic in its presentation, but it does really well its job. So I was quite impressed about that. Now, when it comes to the music itself, Place Your Bets is all about fast-paced jazz music. Well, its core is classic jazz, but for sure it has a little bit of bebop going on in there. It is really, really punchy. The contrabass is crazy. But of course the contrabass is crazy. Why is that? Because this time around Satoru Kuwabara, who is usually Makoto Furukawa's producer, is composing the song, is back to composing music for Makoto Furukawa. And when Kuwabara is composing music, either for artists or for his band Servanity, Satoru Kuwabara is known for cranking up that bass to the maximum. You will have a song with a bass line that is crazy good, and especially if you love bass centric songs or compositions, this will be the one for you, for sure. So he made sure that the bass line is crazy, it's really intense, it's really, really fun to listen to, you have a really good bounce, but you need to understand that the song is also classy with its brass, with the way the drums are being played, the way that Makoto Furukawa is vocalizing and performing that song, because he's really doing that in quite a dramatic way, which is not that common in Makoto Furukawa's music. So it is really awesome what happens in Place Your Bets. The song is really fun, the tempo is amazing, this is a song that is quite addictive. I could imagine this song being even an opening to a live show, because it really has that pacing that you want to crank up or hype up the crowd and really carry the whole live show through that hype or that energy that built up thanks to Place Your Bets. But this is me supposing what is going to be the very first song in that live show that I regret I cannot be there to watch, but I hope it will be released on Blu-ray soon. And of course, we have to wrap up Rainy Day. This is a song that goes yet again, like Makoto Furukawa was saying in an interview to Lisani, that it is a song that goes and explores the roots that Makoto Furukawa has with rock music. He loves rock music, he would have loved to perform rock music only instead of jazz music as a solo artist. So it is always awesome to see him returning to a music genre that he loves and doing something that is really, really amazing. One thing that I love a whole lot is how he brings post-rock elements. Post-rock usually is a music genre or sub-music genre known for those guitars that are longing, use a lot of pedals. It's almost like shoegaze rock, but it's not necessarily shoegaze rock because it doesn't use excessively pedals on the guitars, but it is the style of music that gives a longing feeling. It is usually categorized as emo rock, but it's not as intense or not as fast or aggressive as emo rock can be. It's a bit on the down low, and it is slower paced. It is really longing. It feels really like rain is pouring down on you, and you are walking slowly to a destination while feeling that rain hitting you. So it really feels like that, and the title of the song couldn't be even more perfect. So this is a song that fits really well with the CD. It may contrast a little bit because you go from a really upbeat jazz song to a really down-tempo, minor key, emo rock tune with a little bit of post-rock influences, and it really feels like a downer in terms of vibe, but it really fits well together with the CD itself, because it shows in this single you get the two sides to Makoto Furukawa as an artist. You have that fun, mature adult in some way, and really alluring vibe that Makoto Furukawa has to himself and his lyrics in Place Your Bets. And then you have a more introspective, more a bit darker side of Makoto Furukawa's music in Rainy Day. It still has an uplifting message in some way, but underneath it all, it is a dark type of song. Speaking of dark songs, Makoto Furukawa confirmed that despite all the jazz fanfare that you have had so far, even acid jazz fanfare like you had in Room of No Name, all the songs or most of his songs are dark as hell. Even if they explore adult romance, or even if they are really intense, they are essentially dark songs. This is really fun, and I came to a conclusion this week as I was reading that interview that I actually am a massive fan of dark music, in case you didn't notice so far. And that is why Makoto Furukawa is actually, alongside Soma Saito, my favorite male seiyuu artist. So I do love the music that he creates. I do love the care that he gives to his lyrics and the thought that he put into, for example, Place Your Bets being a tie-up with or a tie-up to Miserable Masquerade. Seeing as Miserable Masquerade was not written by him, he picked that song up, he watched, or basically he reread the lyrics, he saw the music video, and he thought, well, I'm going to write a revenge story in here, and I'm going to wrap up that story and start a new chapter with this single. And he really did that really well. The lyrics that Makoto Furukawa writes are really interesting. I've said it when I reviewed From Fairy Tail, that he really knows what he's doing, and he really knows how to write music that makes you want to dive into the story, want to understand more, want to dive into what he is creating. Of course, From Fairy Tail was on a league of its own. It is really a story within a concept album, which is completely different from what I'm talking about in here with Place Your Bets, but it is to illustrate that Makoto Furukawa is really awesome lyricist. Is not up there with, I will say, the epitome of storytelling in music for male seiyuu artists is with Soma Saito, for sure. It is undeniable. Even if you do not like Soma Saito, you will have to agree with this, because storytelling, it is really a strength of Soma Saito. But Makoto Furukawa is really up there with him. Although people aren't paying that much attention to him, I believe that Makoto Furukawa is up there with Soma Saito when it comes to writing lyrics that have really engaging stories that go beyond just being the story for that song. They have something else underneath. They have a message. They want you to decipher it and understand what is underneath it. And I do love when music and artists do that to me, because it gives more value to their music. It makes me want to replay that song more times to understand what is going on in there, instead of being a one and done for me, because the lyrics are simple. They do not have that much of a message, or they do not have that much of a story to begin with. So in this case, I do love when music makes me think, when music challenges me, and in this case Makoto Furukawa's music does that, not as aggressively as Soma Saito does, but he does that as well, and I do appreciate it a whole lot, because his music, in this way, his music connects with me a bit better or even deeper than other male seiyuu artists. So I do appreciate it a whole lot. Of course, I've read a couple of times and people have sent me comments in this regard that most people do not enjoy Makoto Furukawa's voice because they are stuck in the way they think that he voices his characters or how his characters usually are in anime or in games. I will say to those people to put that aside and please give him a chance because he's a really awesome singer. And even if you are the type of person that thinks, well, I do not enjoy that much when he uses vibrato, because he does use vibrato a whole lot. In this case, or in the past couple of releases, Makoto Furukawa has done something really ingenious. He has controlled his vibrato, so he's not outputting it as much as before. He's actually making sure that the vibrato is used with care and when it makes the most sense. So right now he's not only a powerful singer with a booming vibrato, but he's also a powerful singer with a booming vibrato and a really awesome control over it, which enables him to perform how he wants when he wants. And he's added in the past couple of CDs a beautiful falsetto that you will listen to in this CD. This is a CD that deserves your attention. Actually, most if not all his music in the past, no, since the start is really amazing. So do give a chance to Makoto Furukawa and do give a chance to place your bets because this is a really, really awesome single. And that's all for my best of July 2023. Time for monthly choice, the corner in which I recommend you songs to check regardless of when they were released. Of course, this time around I was reviewing a lot of music in the past couple of weeks, and as such I came across really awesome CDs, really awesome songs, and I want to talk to you about 3 specific songs that can't leave my head. And the first one is Trigger's Beautiful Prayer. Well, Trigger is usually a treat for me. I'm a massive fan of Trigger, in case you haven't noticed from my grin. And I do appreciate this group a whole lot. I believe this is the best 2D group out there and won't easily be thrown away from its throne anytime soon, I believe. Trigger recently released Beautiful Prayer as one of the songs played exclusively or created exclusively for the movie, the 3D CGI movie that is still on cinemas in Japan, which is quite amazing, and this song is unreal. First off, they brought Shinosuke back. Shinosuke is known for, especially for Crescent Rise, which is the song that I like the most that was created by Shinosuke, and he has done a really amazing job so far whenever it comes to working with Trigger. Trigger has been on a really awesome journey, and in the past couple of, I should say 2 years, the group has released music that you wouldn't have thunk before that they would release because it wouldn't necessarily fit their style. They have been exploring ballads, which it's not necessarily something that they did before with Suicide, and they have done a lot of funky music, at least since 2021. Right now, Beautiful Prayer is a song that goes back in time to the 70s, grabbed everything it could from disco music, then took it or visited the 80s and saw a couple of synths from city pop music and stole those and went on running with all that gear to 2023 and gave it a really stylish delivery. And what you get in Beautiful Prayer is a song that is so addictive and so danceable that is unreal. In this case, I was listening to these, and of course I have been paying close attention to Trigger's music because I love this group, and I noticed that they have been embracing a lot of disco and funk influences in their music, but they have been approaching those through a new disco lens. So you do have a throwback sound in the chorus, for example, in Beautiful Prayer. That chorus is really something that you would find in a 70s disco song or 80s city pop song with disco influences. So it is really a throwback sound that you get in there. But this is really stylish, and in the verses it really keeps that essence of the group's initial or original sound. Trigger were all about EDM sound. Their sound was really sexy, still is. Of course, disco music and funk usually help enhance that part of being mature and being sexy. But of course, what we have in here is a throwback sound in the chorus, and then you have in the verses that awesome, really, really awesome nod to Trigger's original sound that was really EDM and intense. Of course, things have been toned down to fit the group and to fit the vocals, and of course to fit the vibe. The group has been growing a lot, and to make that growth come to light and being easily understandable by those that are listening to their music chronologically, you need of course to have that into attention. You need to approach the music that was once done before, and that you now need to look at it with a different lens and approach it from a different way. It's still the same nod to that music, but it's not necessarily the same sound as what you got in Secret Night, for example. I do love this group a whole lot, and Beautiful Prayer is a song that is in my head from how funky and amazing it is. It has a lot of English in the lyrics, and it is, I always love to listen to voice actors performing in English. It's not easy, that's why I do appreciate it when they take the time to perform music in English. Of course, when it comes to 2D groups, many 2D groups have parts and words, or even have songs fully performed in English, but in this case Trigger has a special place for me because Soma Saito's English diction is really, diction and pronunciation is really awesome. So he is really clear in his pronunciation, and as a result the songs sound even better. So the addition of English lyrics ends up not being cheesy or really not understandable, but end up being a really awesome feature that brings your attention back to the song, because you are listening to Japanese, oh, a part in English, and then your attention is back into the song. It is really awesome, and especially when it is well pronounced and it sounds really good, it's better yet. As always, I do love how cohesive this group is, but that goes without saying. This group is really at their best point in their career, and I would love to have them perform this song live. We have GYROAXIA with Milestone. Finally, GYROAXIA released a digital single, and I was waiting for this for a long time. I do love GYROAXIA a whole lot. I have been saying that it is weird how the group how the band hasn't been releasing more music, especially when they have a contract with Universal Music Japan. So it was really a nice surprise to have this single announced alongside The Last Resort. The Last Resort is an interesting single, not really my thing fully, but Milestone, I'm going to talk about it, not necessarily because this is the best song by GYROAXIA, it's far from it. If you want the best songs by GYROAXIA, just go listen to Freestyle. The whole CD is awesome, but this CD shows a completely different approach. So what I'm saying here is that, firstly, when fans started to listen to GYROAXIA before they signed their major label contract, they had a really rough punk rockish with screamo style. and they have changed that a little bit for freestyle, and people were a bit on the fence because, well, this doesn't sound necessarily like the GYROAXIA that I loved. I said at that time, and you can check the episode from I believe February 2022. I said at that time that I believe that GYROAXIA were doing their best in freestyle, and I believe they were sounding their best in freestyle, pleasing not only older fans, but also attracting new ones. This time around, there were even more changes to their sound. GYROAXIA doesn't sound like themselves in these singles specifically. This doesn't sound like a song that would be in the very first CDs by GYROAXIA, and this also doesn't sound like a song that would fit in freestyle. This is completely different. It's even more easy listening and simpler than anything that they released so far. So when I say that this song is not necessarily their best, it is exactly because of that. It is a bit watered down. It is amazing in and of itself, but it feels watered down when in comparison with all the amazing work the group or the band has done before. I still rank it pretty high, and I believe I gave it full marks. You will see or read on the review when it drops on the website. But I still feel that something is amiss. I feel like the band is still experimenting with their sound. They are trying to find their commonplace and then spread or experiment around it. And I see or I listen that the group or the band is trying to see what they can do, see where their technique, where their experience takes them. And it is awesome to see that. But it is a bit frustrating to have that happening with long pauses between CDs or releases. And by having a lot of time between CDs and releases, it seems like the band is not experimenting, but more like they have settled for that sound, which is not necessarily the case. I believe, at least, it's not necessarily the case. I would love for the band to release, if they are experimenting with their sound, to release more music more frequently, or at least digital singles, to experiment with different things, and then when they are comfortable with themselves, release a full-on CD, and that's when they will explore fully what they have learned and what they want to present to their fans. So I found Milestone to be unique. It's not necessarily a song that you would say this is, of course, GYROAXIA, because it sounds a bit different. On the other hand, I do love Ogasawara when he's actually performing with this band. Actually, I do love Ogasawara's voice, so it's not necessarily with this band, but he has a flair with GYROAXIA that he doesn't have with the other bands. Perhaps because he does love this band a whole lot, perhaps because he does have a connection with this project, perhaps because this was the very first project in which he got to be a bit more like himself, performing music that he loves. So I do love what he is doing on the vocal end this time around. We have a lot of legato, we have crescendos here and there, we have fancy stuff going on the vocal end, but when we go, and this time around, this is about the composition, when we go to the bridge, the song transforms itself. It goes into a classic rock style of a sound, or even glam rock, which is not necessarily what GYROAXIA usually does. This would be something that you would find more frequently on Jin Ogasawara's solo career, the experimentalism, but it is really interesting to find it still with GYROAXIA. So I did find this CD, or this digital single, to be really awesome, and when you compare with The Last Resort, I do believe this one was the best out of the two digital singles that were released on the same day. I do hope that their live tour right now is to serve as an appetizer for something that they may end up announcing when the tour ends, especially if it is an album. I'm hoping it happens, but I do not know, of course. One thing that I forgot to say, and I wanted to say, is that the drums work for Milestone is unreal. Kosuke really did an awesome job in there, and if you can, do pay close attention to the drums, because those aren't your usually GYROAXIA drums in terms of the sound, the cadence, even the rhythm that is going on in there. It's really, really awesome. So that's another recommendation of mine. And of course, I'm going to go to Jin Ogasawara's Tokyo Hollywood.
다시 보이친 나 freestyle Friday 배투신 오래가서가 스펠리드 세마가라 스펠리너 하네 아마이 미투가 쯤면이 왕하네 아려 제발 너를 like a dogman 나를 봐 사람은 믿다 니와 너는 하야 사가라 fresh right 나를
This is a Ogasawara heavy episode, as you can tell. But I was listening to several CDs, and I had Tokyo Hollywood that was released recently, and Slime, which was released last year, yet to review. And I reviewed both, and then I reviewed GYROAXIA, and it was really an awesome afternoon reviewing music, all with Ogasawara singing. This time around, instead of bringing you Slime, which is a single that I enjoyed, but still Slime is massive. You need to listen to it because it is massive. It is an unreal song with an unreal composition and with a performance that really gets you. But I was drawn into Tokyo Hollywood due to its cheeky vibe, its lyrics, which are mocking in a way, and how old school hip hop it goes, and how he adds rap rock into the mix. I did find Tokyo Hollywood to be really, really interesting, and a single that I was really, honestly, when I listen to Ogasawara's music, I do not know what I'm going to listen to until I press play. I do not know. He is a big fan of rock music, that we all know, and he usually brings a rock tune or two whenever he releases a CD. But when it comes to the digital singles, in this case Tokyo Hollywood was a digital single, we usually as fans do not know what is going on in there, what is going to happen in there, and it is usually a treat for me at least to come across his music, pressing play and really going into the unknown. I'm not going into a CD of his and saying, yeah, he's going to have a song with Screamo, and then he's going to have a dance tune, and then he has a jazz tune, and then he wraps up with a ballad. There are some seiyuu artists that are really predictable, and that I can, even before pressing play, I will know that they will have at least one song out of specific styles or in specific singing styles or music genres, because they are predictable. Ogasawara is not predictable, and I do appreciate this a whole lot because he is an artist that puts me on the edge of my seat every time. I do not know what I'm going to listen to, I do not know if I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going there with a lot of anticipation because it is going to be basically something new. And something new is what having that feeling of being new is something that attracts me a lot in music. Because if I'm going to listen to a group or an artist and I do know that they perform pop music all the time, they never strayed away from that. They've said in interviews that they are going to do something that fans will like, which is going to say, yet again, pop music, and then I press play in that CD and I listen to pop music again. It is tiring. It doesn't have that new factor to itself. It sounds like more of the same with different lyrics. In this case, Ogasawara usually doesn't do the very same thing from CD to CD, which is awesome, and I would love for him to eventually release a full-on album. Of course, not necessarily including the digital singles released so far, because that would defeat the purpose of being a new CD. But I would love to hear him and see what he can do in an album, and how we can explore different things within that said album and still remain as unique and as fun and as entertaining as he is with a music genre or music genres, and experimenting with a lot of things on the vocal end like he is doing. So I do fully recommend you to listen to Tokyo Hollywood. Do pay attention to the lyrics. They are explicit at times. They do have some curse words going on in there, and they have a really mocking tone going on in there, with him asking, "Who are you, really?" So it is really something that comes from a high place, talking to someone that is not necessarily on a high place. It is really something that is different from Ogasawara, but is really, really fun. And of course, the B-side track is also fun, so do check this CD if you can. And that's all for my picks in the monthly choice corner. This episode is sponsored by all the Hand That Feeds HQ's patrons on Patreon. A big thank you for the support. And now it's time to talk about Music in the Horizon. This episode is being recorded on August 12th, and this episode basically arrives really late because Sparklu's We Will is already out. I haven't reviewed it so far because I do tend to review the CDs by the end of the month, and that is a CD that I'm looking forward to. So I'm going to say Sparklu's We Will. I do believe that many of you have already listened to it. Please do not spoil it in the comments, at least until the end of the month. And then we have Impish Crow's Overcoming. I do love Impish Crow. I feel like this band is really awesome. I do love the Dig Rock franchise, so I am quite excited to see what the band can do right now, especially seeing as I've recently reviewed Ruby Leopard's Resistance, and that song was nothing like what the band usually releases. So I'm quite curious to see what Impish Crow can do that fits in there outside of the box. So I'm really curious about that. To wrap up, I'm looking forward to Anthos kicking off their air quotes solo CD series. This is the second CD series in the franchise, in the Hanadol franchise, and this time around we have Kaoru and Haruta, which is to say Junichi Toki and Toshiki Masuda, leading the way. I'm quite curious about these because we have ZachB and Kan Takahiro working with them. This is going to be crazy, especially Kaoru's song that is composed and it has lyrics. Basically the team behind it is ZachB and Kan Takahiro. This is going to be a danceable tune for sure, and I'm really looking forward to that. Haruta is going to be an unknown to me. Usually it is more on the danceable side when it comes to solo music, so I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm not really expecting anything because I do not know what to expect. Also in this month we have a digital single by Mamoru Miyano dropping, we have a single by Gran Rodeo, we have Hypnosis Mike with 2 EPs, and we have Fabulous Night and Vez Rock and many other franchises releasing music. So this is going to be a packed month, but only in the last week of the month, which is weird. I'm looking forward to hearing and knowing your thoughts on these CDs or on some of these CDs, and talk about those later. And these are basically all the CDs that I'm looking forward to in August 2023. It is a lot of music, but I do not have any intense thoughts or expectations about those, besides Sparklu, Impish Crow, and of course Anthos, Haruta, and Kaoru. Now, let's go to the next part of the episode. Welcome to Ask Vanessa. This is the corner in which I talk about anything and everything. First off, I've talked early on that I was really excited about Makoto Furukawa making or hitting a milestone for him. 10,000 CDs sold. It is really awesome. This was something that was making me quite sad, I would say, or frustrated, was that Makoto Furukawa has really awesome music, but not many people were actually interested in it and purchasing his music, and basically doing something beyond just saying yes I'm a fan, but then they do not purchase the music. So this was really awesome to see people actually supporting him and giving him a push, because he sounds like, and especially from his recent interviews, he sounds like he's really serious about his career as a solo artist, and he wants to do really awesome things from this point on. And to have this boost, to have fans really supporting him on a special occasion, it really gives him a boost to create something interesting. So I do hope that this milestone ends up being something that leads him to feel more confident about his music, feel that he can experiment, that he can do what he loves, and that people will support him because he's a really good singer. There's no doubt about it. Makoto Furukawa is a really good singer, and he's performing a music genre that I believe not many love, but that fits him so well that people have come to love. Then we have Yu Mochida who is going to basically kick off a live tour this month as well, and it is really interesting that he's going to be a wrap up to everything that was released in the past 2 years or in the past year, and then he's going to eventually release Y in November, the third full-length album. I'm looking forward to it a lot, but if it is going to feature the digital singles that are being released so far, that CD has the potential to not impress me as much as previous CDs of his have managed to. So I'm a bit on the fence on which are the contents for that CD. When they announce the track list, that's when I'm going to get a bit more relaxed or a bit more frustrated. Depends on what is part of that CD or how many songs actually are new. So I'm looking forward to it, but a bit cautiously. Still, it's Yumu Uchida, so on the vocal end it's going to be perfect. I'm just wondering what kind of songs will be in there. Then, if you haven't paid attention to, it seems like Soma Saito is working on new music. He has confirmed that on his radio show, but he's also looking a bit different, and as I've mentioned on an episode of Seiyuu Lounge, usually when seiyuu go on crazy diets and start changing their hairstyle, they are already recording music videos or participating in photo shoots for new CDs. So this may be the case. We may have something dropping later this year, quite possibly in December, because it would be wise to avoid November. Right now November is packed with Yumu Uchida, Wataru Hatano, Shota Wai, so it is really packed with big artists in there, so it would be wise to release the CD in December. So it seems like to me, from what I'm looking and from my experience watching how the cycle goes from creating the music to recording the music video, the photo shoots, and then announcing everything to the fans when it's already in production, and then you have 1 or 2 months until the CD releases. So it seems to me that if things are being recorded right now, or things are really in its concept phase right now, we may be getting a CD in December for sure. It sounds like to me he's working right now on the visuals for the new CD, and maybe he already has a really clear idea of what he's going to do next. That's why he's changing so much his visuals as of late. So this could be wrong completely, but given that he has confirmed that he's working on demos, basically turning a demo into a full-fledged song, it's not necessarily something that takes a lot of time. It sounds to me that he's already in the later stages of production or in the later stages of composition on his end before meeting his team and really start creating or fleshing out those songs to become the full-fledged ones that we will be listening to in the upcoming CD. So I'm looking forward to that as well. In early September, there isn't going to be a monthly review episode of August. I will be going on vacation for the last 2 weeks of the month and the first week of September, so I won't be working on basically anything the hand that feeds HQ. So you will be getting your podcast episodes. Those are already fully recorded. I made sure those were recorded ahead of time, but I can't record the episode talking about the CDs that were released in August because I'm not going to review those in time due to going on vacation, and when I return I wouldn't have the free time to review all of those quickly to record an episode and drop it really early. So when we get to October, we will have an episode about August and September all in the same place, and I will be talking about the CD releases of the 2 months. But in the meantime, you will not be getting in the first week of September a new episode of Monthly Review, but you will be getting some hits and bits of the recent episode of Seiyuu Lounge, in which I celebrated the 3rd anniversary of the podcast and the 13th anniversary of The Hand That Feeds HQ. I selected a few parts that really, I believe, that matter to you, and if you didn't go through the full episode because it is a really long episode, I've created short versions of between 1 minute and 10 minutes. You will be getting some episodes dropping within those 3 weeks that I will be away from the YouTube channel. So if you already watched that episode of Seiyuu Lounge in which I celebrated those 2 anniversaries, these mini episodes or these beats will basically not sound as new to you, but still I will be dropping those in case there are some people curious about how I work behind the scenes, things that are essential to understand music by male seiyuu artists and to the groups, and some other hits and bobs in there that may be interesting for you. This is all for the July 2023 episode of Monthly Review. I'll see you all in the episode for September 2023, and I look forward to your comments both to this episode, both to the music that will be released in August 2023 and also the music released in September 2023. So I see you all in 2 months. And thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys soon.